Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday morning. So, if I asked you a question, what's the greatest threat to mankind? What would you say? Nuclear war, economic collapse, pick something, okay? Disease, famine, whatever would be your choice. I'm going to throw one at you here that most people don't understand, and I've spent quite a bit of time researching the depths of this one. I'd say probably the greatest threat to mankind is the Metaverse, Facebook. Okay? Not Facebook as a whole, they're not the only one in charge of the Metaverse, but they are definitely a leader in it. And with the beginning of the World Economic Forum annual meeting tomorrow in Davos, I want to kind of explain to you a little bit about what this is, okay? What the metaverse actually is, okay? Now, when you take a look at Facebook, they rebranded themselves as Meta, right? Okay. And they envision a metaverse that plays directly into the hands of Klaus Schwab's and the World Economic Forum's Great Reset agenda, okay? Where your avatar is a virtual you, okay? It's your virtual identity, okay? Where there's an internet of bodies that assures that your most personal data is always being recorded, okay? Where you'll own nothing of physical value, nothing, okay? Everything will be virtual. The metaverse promises a digital ecosystem where virtual and augmented reality are the primary technologies for interfacing with the internet, allowing for what Zuckerberg calls a sense of presence and a shared physical space where work and play will be taken to new heights. That's his quote. Right? Virtual reality, okay, the little goggles or whatever it is, will keep people away from the harsh realities of owning nothing, okay, and will temporarily let them go be okay with living in a citizen-centered welfare state, okay, as they sit in their little cubicle or whatever, waiting for their next UBI check to come in of programmable digital currency. They'll play or do whatever they want. Okay. This is what gets extremely scary about what this could lead to. All right. And I don't want to talk. I don't need to talk about the physical aspect of sitting on the couch all day and doing nothing. I'll talk more about the mental aspect of this, okay? As the metaverse grows and continues to get bigger and become this entity that you can't escape, okay, the line between the digital world and the real world is going to be blurred thanks to an interconnected system of wearable, implantable, consumable devices. This is what's known as the Internet of Bodies. Okay. Now, think about what that could be involved in, and I'll get to this. But again, another Zuckerberg quote. Instead of typing or tapping, you're going to be able to gesture with your hands, say a few words, or even make things happen by thinking about them. Now, I want you to think about this, okay? The Internet of Bodies. Wearable, implantable, or consumable devices, right? How many of us have talked about, implanting a microchip? Elon Musk has talked about putting a chip in everybody's brain, all right? We've heard over the last few years all sorts of comments about implanting microchips in our wrist or whatever. Think that's not reality? Okay, I'll give you this one. Both my dogs are microchipped. If they get lost, all somebody's got to do is go over with the scanner and it will tell them my name, my phone number, my address, whatever. Okay. And that's been around for a couple of decades. Think about how much more they can do with how far technology's gone. Okay. Now, when all sorts of information like that is available to the powers that be, we'll leave it that way. Let's think about what's going on in the real world. Let's look at cancel culture. Okay. If cancel culture is any indication of where the internet is heading, we're not already there. I don't like what you said. Boom, you're off of Twitter. You're off of Facebook. You got a strike on YouTube. Okay. Then whatever you say or do in the metaverse can be used against you in the real world. We already see that on social media. Okay. Now imagine it being in every aspect of your life. Okay. It all depends on how the metaverse is governed and who's doing the governing. Right? Okay. And again, last time I checked, nobody elected Klaus Schwab anywhere. Okay. I'll give you this as a quote. Okay. Yuval Harari. Okay. He's an Israeli historian and a professor in the Department of History at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He even said this at a Davos conference a couple of years ago. We are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals. Okay. Now, if something can be hacked, it can be reprogrammed. Grooming, okay, indoctrination. You think about the most malleable minds, and that would be in children. Okay, I've mentioned to you guys before, there's a reason the military only wants recruits that are between like 18 and 25. Because their minds are still malleable. They can still bend those people's will to their way of thinking. And I completely agree with this because I've told you many times, I was a completely different person when I came out of 8 weeks of basic training than when I went in. Totally different person. Okay. Because they broke me down to the bare bones basic building blocks and then rebuilt me up the way they wanted. I was reprogrammed, okay, to think like a soldier, not to think like a punk 18-year-old. And you guys that are ex-military can agree with me on that one. And girls, okay. So let's go back to the Internet of Bodies thing, okay. The Internet of Bodies promises to keep track of everything that goes on in people's bodies, but also the data that's gathered can be used to modify people's behavior in both good and terrifying ways, all right, depending on who's doing the manipulating and for what purpose, of course. Everything about you will now be data. We've heard for millions of years, I'm just a number. Yes, that's exactly what you are. You're now number 8427196. The hell with what your name is, okay? That's what it is. Want to get it even funnier? Let's take a look at YouTube. Everybody's got their little handle. Notice how they all have numbers behind them now? You're being programmed to be a number. Okay. Like I said, everything about you will be data. What you said, where you went, what website you visited, what you posted on social media, any gestures that you made, emotions that you experienced, your blood pressure, your heart rate, da-da-da-da-da, and on and on and on. Okay, go for it. And all of that will be used for somebody else's benefit. Okay, we already see it now in small ways, and we notice it, but we don't care, right? You talk about going on vacation to the Bahamas. Alexa hears this, and now all of a sudden all the ads that you see on the internet or the emails, the spam that you get is ads for cruise lines or something. You have a Fitbit on or a smartwatch or something, and you go for a run. Okay, you finish your run, you now get an email about your blood pressure and ways to diet. Right? You want to go to a new store somewhere in town you've never been before. You're not exactly sure it is. So you put it into Google Maps, the address, and it gives you driving directions, and you get right to that store. You get back on your phone or your computer or whatever, and all of a sudden now you've got ads for that store's competitors, which probably are now Google advertisers. Okay. We're already way past the Internet of Things. That's what that was. Okay. We're now to the Internet of Bodies, and it's being implemented right under our nose. Derek Brose, who wrote The Last American Vagabond, okay, here's his quote. The goal is a track and trace society where everything is logged. Every person has a digital ID that can be tracked, and social malcontents are locked out of society via social credit scores. When your digital identity determines which products, services, information is either restricted or granted to you, the simplest thing to do is to punish rule makers, just to cut them off, kind of like the CCP does with their social credit system, all right? This is the next reason why CBDC is so important to them. This is how they can punish you. This is why getting rid of fossil fuels is so important. This is why getting rid of meat is so important, why controlling the water supply is so important. It's all about control. That is all the metaverse is about. It is about total control, okay? If you and I have paper dollars or gas cars, okay, or can raise our own food or pump our own water, we have some control over our life. If we don't have those things, we have no control over our life. We are completely indentured to whatever big government or world government or however you want to refer to the powers that be. We are completely submissive to their whim, okay? And that's what the metaverse is designed for. Think about the internet when it was first introduced, okay? It was referred to as the Wild West because it was a place where anything goes, okay? Because it was so new, there was no governance. Over time, it got a little more civil, but it's still, for the most part, a place where almost anything goes. There are hundreds of sites that let you gamble on football or view porn or buy illicit items or participate in fetishes or obviously commit crimes. I mean, how many email scams do you get a day? God knows I get enough. Okay. You can be lied to and manipulated. CNN. Okay. I can go on and on and on. That's what the metaverse wants to get rid of. Not that getting rid of those things is a bad thing, but it's our choice whether to bet on a football game, watch CNN, whatever it would be. Not theirs. Okay. At this point, the only information that you would be allowed to have is their information. Okay. The end. Think of all the grooming right now that's going on that we see with all these drag shows and everything. The only entertainment that people would be allowed to watch is drag shows. Let's just say, use that for example. Okay. The only news source you would get would be WEFNN. This is it. Independent thought, independent choice, independent actions is forbidden in the metaverse. Okay? If you're not doing something that is approved, you are punished. Okay? So how does that play into other things that we've heard about? Let's talk about 15-minute cities. Okay? Pack people in like sardines. You have a 10 by 10 apartment. Why do you need any more space? That's it. You don't need more. 10 by 10 apartment holds a bed. You need to sleep sometime. Sure. You lay down in your bed. Okay. Remember, you'll own nothing and be happy. Why do you need a house? Why do you need a yard? Why do you need a refrigerator? You don't. Okay. You can have a mansion in the metaverse. You just don't need one in reality. You don't need a car. Okay. Things you need, like food, okay, will be given to you for a price when they decide you need it. Human companionship? Why? Just put on your goggles. I go back to the movie Demolition Man and the scene between Stallone and Sandra Bullock and everything like that. Put on the sex scene, okay, which obviously was not, but if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You think I'm kidding about that part, right? there's already many, many, many groups in the metaverse where people have virtual meetings, prayer groups, substance abuse groups, grief counseling groups. Okay. Let's take a look at something, step it back and go into the 2D world. Corporate meetings. How many Zoom meetings did you hear about in 2020 and 2021? Corporate. Nobody go anywhere. Okay. Everybody just got in front of a computer and had a meeting via Zoom. 2D meeting. Now imagine it's a 3D meeting. Everybody puts on their glasses or whatever it would be, and now you're all sitting around the same table, or you're all sitting in the same park or doing whatever. That's what they're trying to get to. Okay. But we talk about meetings, right? Work. How are you going to earn a living? Okay. After all, you still have to pay for that 10 by 10 apartment. You still have to pay for your electricity, because that's the only fuel source you're allowed to have, to recharge your goggles or whatever it would be. Okay. You have to pay for that food that is so graciously given to you, right? Okay. Well, regular jobs are a thing of the past. AI is handling all that now, right? I mean, we've talked about this, and Gates and Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and everybody have talked about how AI is going to take over the world, and we won't have to go to work anymore. Except you still got to pay your bills. You still got to do something to earn a living, right? So how are you going to do it? How are you going to make money? Think about now. You don't have money to buy dinner tonight, and you're hungry. So what do? Maybe you sell something. But there's a problem. You'll own nothing and be happy, right? Okay. Well, if I own nothing, I have no way to get cash, and I'm hungry. I'm not happy. Right? The only thing I still own is me. So maybe you decide to sell some more information about yourself, or sell yourself altogether. Okay? You voluntarily give up more of your medical history, more of you. Okay? I'm now going to allow somebody else to have access to my metaverse, what I put on the computer or whatever would be, all the data, and they'll give me some money. Okay. Basically, your only way to earn a living is to become a lab rat. Okay, except this time it's information as opposed to physical experimentation. So they get you this way to now voluntarily become a participant in your own downfall. This is what the Great Reset actually is, and no one talks about it or even bothers to try to understand it. I mean, and I'm just hitting the tip of the iceberg here. I mean, video's almost 20 minutes long here, and I mean, I've got this far into trying to explain this to you. But society is going full speed into a dystopian lifestyle. All right, think about this. Hear me out here on this one. Kids can't afford a house, right? The entire Gen Z, millennial generation can't afford a house, right? That's planned. Just saying, okay? Everybody will have to live in an apartment. No one will have a steady income. Gee, does that sound familiar right now too? I'm working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. I got a degree and I'm working at Starbucks. Okay, notwithstanding that you got a degree in underwater basket weaving. Okay. Selling personal data, okay, from the Internet of Bodies, like I talked about, is the only way you're going to make money. Personal health data being the most valuable commodity because it's the only one you got, okay? Not knowing where the data goes, who's collecting it, how they're using it, that's already going on. I mean, who's using all the data from you watching this video? Who's collecting that data and how are they using it? You don't know. I don't know. We all have our speculations, but we don't know. Okay. It fosters a culture of fear and anxiety over data collection, over how it's being used. Okay, we can see that already in society. You get biometric scanning just so you can access basic goods and services. We're already seeing that. Fingerprint scanners, optical scanners, everything like that. I mean, 20 years ago, You could go buy a thumbprint scanner so you didn't have to type in your passwords on your computer. I think that's going a little. Go to an ATM. There's some ATMs now that you don't put a password in, or PIN code. You put your thumb up there on there. Okay. Biometrics is a thing of the past, or a thing of the future. I'm sorry. This isn't my perception of what the metaverse is. These are the facts about what the metaverse is. Okay. For a couple of generations, we've watched our kids think, get groomed to think one way. We've all watched all of society constantly have their nose stuck in a phone. How many times you've been walking down the street and people are all like this and they run into you? Okay. We see people taking pictures of everything and not actually looking at something in real life. Okay. Watch a tour group if you think I'm kidding. Everybody's out there like this. They're looking at the Statue of Liberty or whatever through their camera, through their phone. They're not looking at it this way. They're looking at it this way, right? Okay. The metaverse isn't new. The World Economic Forum crap isn't new. World Economic Forum's been around for 50 years, guys. Okay. This has been a project that's been going on for years and years and years and years. And technology is finally catching up to the point where these wannabe gods can do what they've always dreamed about. World domination didn't end with Hitler or end with Stalin. There's plenty of people in the 21st century that want to carry the torch. Okay. This, again, in my opinion, is the greatest threat to mankind. And it's happening right under our nose. This is specifically why you do what you do. So we can put a stop to this madness. Pinball out.